What is going on, everybody? We are here in Vernon, California at US Standard Apparel, and we are about to take you guys on a tour, see what they got going on, check out their samples, check out their facility, and get into it. Let's see what they got.
Let's get it.
What's going on?
How are you?
Doing well.
Welcome.
We're here at US Standard Apparel with Tim in the showroom. He is the president of sales at US Standard Apparel, and he's gonna show us around, take a look at what they provide here.
We have been in business as a spinning facility for 30 years. So Sean, one of our founders, has literally been spinning yard for about 30 years. So we are a fully vertical US made apparel brand here based in Los Angeles. We do custom cut and sew, full package. We're currently developing a line for the wholesale market. So we have off-the-shelf blank that can be ordered that is elevated, much different than what you see out there on the market now. There's a lot of brands, we don't want to be a copycat brand, Obviously heavyweight is the trend right now. Everybody's, leaning into that. So we do that and much, much more. If you look around the showroom here, you can see that Sean has been knitting all these different fabrics for many years. I mean, it's pretty much everything. It's almost like I want to call it like a history of fabric. If you look at the silhouettes and some of the patterns. And what's funny is a lot of this is coming back again as the 80s and 90s start trending again. So it's a very unique facility.
Oh, it's very unique. I mean, usually we come to like a showroom and you'll just see the garments hung up, but it's pretty incredible seeing all the different fabrics. I mean, you guys could provide these. If someone were to come in and say, we wanted to do a cut and sew, and they came in and, picked any of these fabrics, I mean, there's just walls of fabrics all over.
Yeah.
You guys could get it done for anybody, yeah?
Yep.
They're all different. It's not like you're just looking at a cotton. It's like you have patterns, you have knits, you have ribbing, all types of stuff.
Yep, all kinds of different fabrications, tri-blends, blends, 100% cottons, polys, you name it pretty much. You can come in here with a tech pack or a pattern or even an idea. Mm-hmm. And we have, pattern makers on site where we can completely from ground up do a custom.
Is there any other facilities in the U.S. milling their own fabric and cutting and sewing it themselves, or are you guys kind of the only ones?
I mean, I would assume there are some other ones. Like I said, we're completely vertical. We have over 120 knitting machines.
Wow, that's a lot.
What we do is, again, very unique because it's completely full package, right? So literally a brand can come in with an idea and we can produce them a sample in a day. Sam, who you're gonna meet shortly, has done that for many people where they've given them a sample and literally the next day they get.
Next day turnaround, custom.
Yeah, full cut and sewn, all USA made.
What's kind of a minimum for that?
It depends. So off the shelf for an existing silhouette, our minimums for like a custom color of something that's already designed is about 200 pieces. If you get into a fully custom silhouette, custom pattern, it's about 1,200 pieces.
So these are all garment dyed, I'm guessing?
I think some of these are reactive dyed as well. So there are some garment dyed pieces here. There's a difference between piece dye, garment dye, as in you dye the whole roll of fabric, then you cut the silhouette, as opposed to you cut the shirt and then you dye it. That's more of a garment dye process. And it's more technical because you've got to set your markers and your patterns to where it'll shrink into spec, which is difficult because the neck, the ribbing shrinks at a different rate than the body. So there's a lot of, real technical aspects to garment dye and doing it well.
There's a lot of math involved.
There is, yeah.
Would you consider these to be your guys' standard silhouettes? Is that what we're looking at here?
We're in development right now, actually. So we have I think we have about 6 styles that are already developed, and then we're currently developing new styles that we'll launch at Long Beach. In 25. But yeah, we are literally in development currently on some of the new stuff.
Any plans to play ball with like the bigger distributors, or are you guys just going to be direct to wholesale or direct to consumer?
We're going to start direct. I think that they have their place, the distributors, but I think when you're starting grassroots and you're trying to be authentic, it's not, because not to talk bad about any wholesaler, but they'll take any brand. For us, we want to stay more connected to the customer and be more transparent and authentic as far as manufacturing goes.
This looks familiar.
Yeah, this is sick.
What is that one for?
I think that was for Easy.
Wow. We got Sam with us now. He is the head of operations here at US Standard Apparel. Tell us a little bit about what you do. What's your day-to-day looking like?
All right, my day-to-day is kind of all over the place. I've been with US Standard Apparel for about 3 years now. I was responsible for getting the ERP system set up, so basically the computer that manages all of our inventory, WIP, garment dyes, cut tickets, everything lives inside this system. So basically training the entire company to get on that system and how to use it, and because of that I kind of have my fingers stuck in every single department. So it's good though. A lot of client management and a lot of creative too, which is good.
So you work with a lot of creatives, like you're pretty hands-on with the creative aspect of it?
Oh, definitely, especially when it comes to washes, color developments, work with clients developing silhouettes and everything from tie-dyes, exactly matching Pantones, working with dye houses to get the right hand feel, everything across the board.
So tell us a little bit about what we got, what we're looking at right here.
Pull out some of your favorite pieces.
Yeah, so let's see. We can start here. This is the older piece that we did for a wake some time ago, but this has custom flocking on it, has potassium spray. This thing is it's a beast.
It almost looks like it has a shimmer.
100%. When you do these potassium sprays, there's actually something that's laying on top of the fabric that actually catches the light from different angles. So when the garment moves, you're actually seeing different diffractions of the light that actually change the color. Really fascinating. So a few other things that we did in here. And this was another great piece that we did for Union. It's a really elevated French terry custom silhouette that we're running. Obviously, you could just print it up really well with money merch if you buy the blanks from USSA. One big note to say though, we can obviously do private label custom silhouettes, develop those, but we do have higher minimums on it. I think a great place for brands just starting out is to actually go into our blank line that we have developed of our 18 singles tees, our 24 singles tees. We have a really great eco-cycle option, about 430 GSM, 13.5 ounces garment dyed. Also really great 14.5 ounce vintage fleece. Really low minimums. If we stock it in black or PFD, you can come in and buy 5 pieces if you want. If you want us to do a custom color, 200 units. Definitely for bigger brands, we can obviously facilitate custom cut sew, but if you're just starting out, definitely start with the blanks, low buy-in, low cost until you start to get that momentum, and then we can definitely have a conversation about getting into custom silhouettes.
So I want to ask about this. What type of wash are we looking at here?
So this is a typical suspension dye. So basically they take a vat of water and the dye is actually suspended on, and they lay the garment in quickly and rip it out. So that's kind of why it looks like it's almost like smoke effect on it. But you can kind of see here too where those dyes saturated that fabric a little more intensely and where it's lighter here. So really fascinating type of dye, but it is very expensive.
And you guys take care of all of this. You can get this done. So
yeah, we can do it.
Come to us and say, yo, we want this suspension dye. We can reach out to you,
100%.
Boom, get it done. Print it at Money Merch, no problem. Can you tell me a little bit about that eco-cycle?
All right, so eco-cycle's been kind of the cornerstone of US Standard Apparel when it comes to our blanks line. It's really what Jacob and Sean started out with. So it's actually a proprietary yarn blend. It's 50% recycled, 50% BCI, Better Cotton Initiative cotton yarns. Every single eco-cycle garment comes with this label that shows you, it's a nice woven label here, 100% cotton, 50% recycled, 50% sustainable. So it really plays into US Standard Apparel's drive towards sustainability. It's obviously very important. Any garment manufacturer needs to be very cognizant of what our effects are on the planet. The entire roof of the factory is actually all solar, so we're working to almost power the entire knitting mill and the entire sewing floor with solar energy, hopefully in the coming years. Any production that you're doing in California, you're also really working with the most stringent state laws in the US and also some of the most stringent laws in the entire world, right? So it's very interesting. We have clients asking, hey, are your dye processes sustainable? Is it eco-friendly? And when you really compare it to especially imports and what else is going on around the world, it's very eco-friendly. Like you can't actually make that much of a non-eco-friendly garment in Los Angeles. It's somewhat difficult to do just because of the state California labor laws. So.
I read somewhere that you guys reuse the yarn that you guys mill for your normal line and you reuse it into the eco-cycle, is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. So we actually ship off a lot of waste. That waste is then broken down, respun into yarns that are then reused when Sean knits that here at SAS. So closed loop supply chain. Yeah, it's wild.
So that was kind of the first piece that you guys started with, and then you kind of segued into other materials and things like that?
Yep, 100%. So not only do we have the eco-cycle, but we also do offer a lot of conventional 18 singles tubular, just a ton of different fabrics you can see around this room, right? But we do kind of keep it in, 12 singles, 14 singles, 18 singles, 20 singles, and 30s. So basic jerseys are really our bread and butter, and we can always do those conventional or eco.
You'll do any SKU with eco or conventional yarn?
Exactly, yeah, especially when you get into the custom styles. Obviously the blanks, we kind of have it set in 2 quarters of the business where it's, this side's the Eco Cycle. We have the Eco Cycle hoodie, crew neck sweatpant and sweatshort, an elevated short sleeve tee and a long sleeve tee that's Eco. And then we have basically the same exact offering in the conventional as well.
Amazing. That's actually incredible. So what's the craziest ask that you think you've gotten?
I mean, I think the craziest ask is actually something that's asked of us constantly where, we get calls from really large tour merchandise companies that are like, hey, here's a silhouette that we've never developed before, that we've never run, and we need 25,000 units in 2.5 weeks. And we actually consistently do it. It's kind of crazy.
Really?
Like it's, oh yeah, for 2.5 weeks you're pulling your hair out because you're freaking out. You're like, oh my God, are we gonna miss this tour? Like they are on your neck with it, but do it constantly. We've never really missed it, so.
And how often do you think you get those?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Right when one ends, the next one's up.
No, you don't sleep. It's crazy.
All right, so it looks like we got some blanks up here. Could you tell us about this? What are we looking at right here?
So we'll start here. This is our AUS 3223 VF Vintage Fleece Hoodie. It's a 14.5 ounce fleece. You're seeing it here in our vintage pigment black. Really stunning hand feel on this thing. Extremely heavy. You can tell by the face of the fabric too, how high quality the yarns that we're using. Extremely heavy rib, good drop shoulder on everything. Comes with a tearaway label too, so it makes it extremely easy once you get it to come in and just stick your own label in, rip this out right on the side here. So this paper just comes straight out. We're stocking these in about the tens of thousands. We're gonna have PFD on the floor and then black. And our garment dye minimum for this is 200 units. If you wanna do a custom Pantone, it's only $50 to develop the lab dip.
So the tearaway label is on the hip seam, not in the neck. So, I mean, technically you don't even really have to tear it off.
No, you could totally leave it in there. I mean, we'd love it. Let's get the promo on it too. Another good thing is you don't actually get that residue in the neck.
Is this a stocked color that you guys carry?
Perhaps in the future. Right now we're just doing PFD in black, but honestly, it's such a crowd favorite that I honestly think we probably should. You can wear this for the next 10, 20 years and this is gonna stand up. The fabric is so high quality, it's actually wild.
What do we got these shirts over here? What do we got right here?
This is the AUS 1551. This is our conventional 18 singles tubular tee.
No side seam?
No side seam, exactly. Every single one, we actually knit it to the size. This is size large, so this has a 23-inch chest across. Everything grades up by 2 inches, so your extra large should be 27. Easy cover stitch hem on the sleeves and the bottom hem. Also has a tearaway label right here in the neck, so you're able to, like I said, easily rip this out and then place your own label. Really great neck on it. I think some of the blanks in LA have gone a little too crazy with the mock neck, but this is really harkens back to like the 90s Hanes beefy tee, real classic style. When you kind of go into the vintage shops in LA, you can really tell where we got the inspiration for this t-shirt. And as with the rest of our blanks, this is all garment dye. So, you bring us a Pantone, we can hit that if you're ordering 200 units, but you can also see kind of how different washes affect it. So these two are reactive dye, right? So really sturdy colors that penetrate the fabric. This is a direct dye, which is, a lot of people actually don't know about direct dye, but relative to reactive, it's actually slightly lighter in the way that the color attaches to the fabric, so you kind of get a washed down feel that's in between reactive and pigment. And pigment's the most intense out of everything. So with this type, there's actually pigments that are laying on top of the fabric, right? So you get this really vintage hand feel that gives you high lows around the seams. Extremely interesting wash, but there are also added chemicals in here that are actually needed to lock in that pigment that make it much drier, make it more expensive, and it's gonna bleed when the customers get it. So it's very dangerous sometimes. If you have a client base that's not really educated on how to put proper wash instructions, your customer could buy one of these, wash it, and then wreck their entire load of whites or grays or whatever it is. That's why I've actually been a big proponent of kind of going in direct. So you kind of get that vintage feel, but it's much safer in the wash. You don't have to worry about your customers ruining their clothes.
I feel like if you wash this enough times, it's gonna look like that.
Totally, yeah. With garment dye too, I mean, reactive dyes are very color fast and the color is gonna stay there for the most part, but you do get this eventual kind of degradation of it where the fabric's breaking down and it starts to really feel like a real vintage piece.
I've ruined a couple shirts, I'm not gonna lie. We're just like hand dyeing something, trying to get that vintage black look, and then I throw it in the wash with my white shirts and they're toast. I've got like tie-dye white shirts after that.
Exactly.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. So what do your stock levels look like on these shirts?
So this is a new style, so we're actually in the process right now of cut sewing on the floor, but we're looking to hold about anywhere between 50 to 60,000 units of PFT, 20 to 30,000 units of black and white, so you can always come in, pull those very rapidly, get them shipped out. On the back end, we can obviously cut sew more and keep that replenished. We're also looking at stocking maybe navy, vintage black, cream, and then this direct black. We're still trying to finalize the option, so if there's any suggestions of what you see in the market that you think would be effective for clients to come in and buy off the shelf, that'd be extremely helpful.
Cream and off-white, brown.
Especially coming into summer, cream's gonna be a big hitter, I feel like.
100%, yeah. All right, let's go out to the floor. I'll show you guys the sewing floor.
All right.
I remember the first time I walked in here, I couldn't believe the facility. Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Look at that.
So right now we're rocking with the AUS 1551 TB. You can actually see it's coming off the line right now. So right now we're working with team manufacturing. Basically we have each line you can see is sewing one garment. With tubular tees, since it's one size, they're sewing one size, one t-shirt at a time. What's really incredible about this type of manufacturing is that there's a huge amount of muscle memory that's placed with it. So these operators every single day are sewing pretty much the same exact operation over and over. So there's a highly developed level of skill and a highly rapid tack time where we're turning garments extremely quickly. So you can see here it's actually very structured. Each team has to be laid out the same exact way depending on the make of the t-shirt. Say you had to add some type of extra stitch anywhere on the garment, you would actually have to break that team up, place another machine and another operator inside to be able to facilitate that. This allows us a really crazy level of control over top of the quality because we are able to check every single garment at the end of the line. And if we see maybe the neck's getting put on crooked or maybe there's something happening on the sleeve or even a machine is malfunctioning and it's ripping the fabric, we can actually pause and say, hey, that was on the left sleeve. Let's go to the left sleeve set and look at the machine. Work with the operator to improve their skill. Extreme amount of control here.
So each hub is one style, one size.
100%. And we could actually bring over Marty Bailey, who's our president of manufacturing. He actually invented this type of manufacturing in the garment world. So we're very lucky to have him here and teaching everyone in the company about this.
All right, so we are here with Marty Bailey, and he is actually the inventor of this assembly line right here that you're looking at. 1998 at Fruit of the Loom is when he came up with this concept. So tell us a little bit about it. How did you get to this end goal right here?
Well, this is the first time that Kaizen had been applied to apparel manufacturing. So it's much more about one-piece flow. Most industrial apparel manufacturing was bundle-driven, where this is piece-driven. And so from that standpoint, we have one operator. For example, in the 1551 team, we have one operator responsible for one operation. So in this case, we've got 9 operators that are going to produce right now 1,800 to 2,000 pieces a day.
Each size, each style has 9 operators each.
That's right. If all of the teams are set up for the same style, some teams, if they had size teams, we have more people. It's really a matter of how many operations as to how many people are involved in the manufacturing. But the one thing is that our throughput on a t-shirt on a 1551 right now would be less than 3 minutes from start to finish, and gives us a much better handle on quality because we're seeing every garment completed within 3 minutes with an examiner who is a part of the team. So we get real-time quality feedback on finished product.
How many shirts do you think you guys pump out a day per style?
This team here will produce about 1,800 pieces.
1,800 pieces.
But the longer we can keep a team on one product without change, then those numbers go up. As you develop rhythm, pace, quickness, muscle memory, all of the traits of a professional sewing operator, as they're able to build that consistency, then the efficiency will continue to rise.
If someone wanted like a custom cut and sew, you would just plug in another operator into the system, or is that in a different area?
You have to. If there's a difference in the make and we can easily plug somebody in, then we would. One of the beauties of it as well, if I have a front cover stitch, I add it. If I don't, I take it out. One of the things I talked about, and I just really want to promote the fact that I think I mentioned earlier professional sewing operators. I don't think these folks are really given enough credit for what their actual skill sets are. When you're looking at a set sleeve operator who can sew a sleeve in a garment in less than 3 seconds, or a hem bottom who can hem the bottom. So these are absolutely, these folks are as professional as you and I, just at a different skill set. But we're going to build our company on the success of our people, first and foremost. If they're not successful, there's no way we can be.
I love that mindset, honestly.
We're doing t-shirts here. We do long sleeve and teams. If we had been here 8 months ago, you wouldn't have seen any of this.
So this is all brand new?
All new. We've implemented, this is an INA system. It's a handling system. It's not a sewing system. Each of these systems has 40 stations. We can do multiple styles. With the hanger system, it's designed to bring the fabric or piece into the operator. Hopefully it's on the hanger in a position that the operator can find the point and do something with it. So what we really focus on is not how fast you sew, how soon you sew. We're really working to eliminate as much of the handling processes as we possibly can so we can give our professional sewing operators a better opportunity to do what they do best, and that's sew.
We got like this crazy conveyor belt system going on. I've never seen this in any, oh, we're going in.
Again, this is designed that this hanger is going to come to this operation. They're going to do their operation. They're going to hit a button, and then it's going to carry on to the next operation. We map everything for every different style. Right now, we've got 3 different styles we're producing at the same time in this system. We just recently put in a second INA system because we believe we're going to need it. And so we manufacture our heavy fleece, our hoods, our crew necks, our pants.
So all the bigger garments are done here.
Right, and again, in a team set, t-shirts don't take up a lot of space when you're talking about vertical, but in this case, it doesn't take a lot of fleece items to make a big stack. So we really also take advantage of the cubic feet that this represents, not just square. A 14-ounce hoodie, by the time you put sleeves, a hood, pocket, bands, everything else at the end of it, it's a pretty heavy item. This also minimized the wear on our operators. Just like in team manufacturing, it is engineered that when I finish sewing, I pass it off like in a relay race, pass it off to the next operator specifically when, where, how they need it in order to find the point and get to the foot. It's not how fast you sew, it's how soon you sew. In the same sense, how we put it on a hanger here is very engineered so that when it comes to that operator, they're able to find the point that they need. How it's presented to me, if it's presented in a wad where I have to figure out where my points are, that clock's ticking. So we want to present it to the operator in a position they can do something with it, and again, do what they do best, and that's sew.
On the technology side, it's actually extremely interesting. So on each of these hangers is RFID. So the same thing you're using for Apple Pay. All those components, like Marty said, get strung up, and then we tap here, and it says, okay, this is going to be hoodie XYZ, and it knows, okay, for that we have to follow this path of going to sewing operator 1, 7, 15, 24, and 32. It's all very mathematical and very logic-based in the way that we've laid out. But like we said with the teams over here, say you add a stitch, you'd have to actually physically break that team up, add the operator. Here, it's actually just data. You say, okay, instead of going to 1, 7, 15, 24, and 25, now you have to go to 42 and 48 as well. And it'll stop by each of those bays.
And it just tracks it, and it's all
RFID.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And it provides us with a ton of data, more than we could utilize, not only from a cycle time standpoint, from a productivity standpoint, from a quality standpoint. It's time and attendance because everybody clocks in at their individual station. So all of our cutting systems, all of our marker systems, our design systems, it's all Tukatech. I've worked with Tukatech for over 20 years.
I'm sure that's just great for, everything, efficiency, repairs. I'm sure, having it all under one kind of umbrella as far as your technology goes is build a really great relationship with them.
And one other real great relationship we have is they're 5 miles away from us.
Oh, that's incredible.
A marker is sent from our marker room into these automated spreaders. These are tensionless spreaders. When that file is sent to the spreader, it knows exactly the distance of the marker, so it eliminates our need to actually set up the table and know how far to spread, because this machine knows to the millimeter where it is on the table. Secondly, the machine has a projector on it that's actually projecting the marker as we spread, so that if there's a fabric defect, we can see if it's going to fall in the waist area, we keep going, but if it's going to fall in a piece, then we'll recover that piece. So that saves a lot of time as well from the standpoint of, and defects, because those defects won't be getting to the sewing room.
It just eliminates that kind of.
That's right. This technology saves us hours a day in setup. We have 2 78-inch tables, and we have a third table that's designed specifically for like the 1551 for tubular fabric, which is knit to size. No side seams in that garment. All of these tables are aerated. We can spread fleece up to 6 60 plies high. We can spread jersey up to 100 plies high. If that's the case, then we turn on the air, and it's more so like an air hockey table, but really extreme, and you can move 600 pounds of fabric with your finger. So there's no taking 6 guys and trying to pull this down. Literally one guy can move it to the cutter.
So back in the old days, they usually actually have hand carts that people would push back and forth, come across, lay across the table, cut, cut, cut. And not only that, so the second generation of them was, the trolleys that you can ride. So they're motorized. You see
He's on a, oh wow, look at that.
So he's actually riding. Now, this was kind of the second stage of it. But now this is automated to where basically he gets to both edges of the spread and he can set that thing up to where it'll lock in, it knows where to start and where to finish, and it can just go back and forth, and he walks actually right beside it. You don't even have to have a person on it.
Yeah.
One of the advantages of him riding it, again, it becomes much more than a spreader. He's a fabric inspector. So what he's able to do is see the fabric as it goes down. That's priceless. If you're talking about manual spreading or bar spreading or whatnot, the spreader is much more concerned with just getting the fabric down as he would be of the quality of the fabric. So we'll take a look down here at the end, because all of this is moving to this end. These 2 tables, once it gets within the last 15 feet, this conveyor takes over and it will pull it in. That conveyor is synced with the cutting machine.
Live robot cutting right here. Look at that. Wow.
That same marker that goes into those spreaders is fed into this machine as well. So it's specifically cutting what the marker has spread. It's specifically cutting what the marker maker has designed in the cutting office.
Nice to meet you. I'm Ben.
Sean.
And what's your title?
I'm President and CEO of SAS Textiles and US Standard Apparel.
All right. We're here with Sean. He is the President and CEO of SAS Textiles and Standard Apparel. So this is your operation right here.
This is my operation. I started out knitting over 30 years ago. Then about 6 years ago, we started the manufacturing part of it. So most of what we knit, we end up using ourselves in-house.
And you've had this facility the whole time for all 6 years?
I've been in this building for about 10 years now, and then we were in a separate facility, a different facility down the street for about 20 years.
And I believe we're gonna check out the knitting mill right now.
Yeah, let's walk over to the knitting side. I'll show you what we do. So everything we do is knit in-house here, where we have our knitting machines, which I'll take you over to. It starts with yarn, and obviously good quality yarn. We run a lot of domestic yarn spun in the United States. I'll show you our yarn warehouse. And then we import yarn from different places around the world based on who has the best quality for that particular product. We came up with the yarn also. It's called EcoCycle, which is 50% recycled post-manufacturing, so it's actual recycle certified. And the other 50% is a long, stable, sustainable cotton. Usually recycled cotton doesn't have strength because you're taking fibers, chopping it up, and so we use a really long, staple cotton to give the yarn strength. So that took about 4 years to develop, and we have a lot of sustainable blanks under the EcoCycle brand, and we're actually adding more styles to that.
Do you guys reuse yarn that's been cut just from your own factory as well?
We send most of our, these are damages from knitting, when we cut it out here before it goes and gets finished. We have people that buy it, recycle it. Other people use these for rags, for mechanics rags and different things. But most of what we do, there's no waste. Anything that's from knitting will end up getting used somewhere else. Some people will actually buy it, recycle it into fiber again. And we had a deal with one of our suppliers out of Spain that they would buy all our scraps, and even sometimes we collected t-shirts, and they would take that, recycle it, and we buy yarn back from them. We're trying to have the lowest carbon footprint, be as efficient as possible. About 80% of our power is solar power. There's not a lot of chemicals that go into knitting, but all our knitting oil is all tested to be safe, won't harm anyone, especially when it goes into dye, it gets rinsed and it goes into the sewer and back into the ocean. So you want to make sure that whatever we're using won't harm the environment at all. So this is how it all starts. We buy yarns. We have different...
Holy cow.
So this is all yarns, but this whole warehouse is full of yarn here.
Oh my God, this is all yarn.
This is all yarn. This is the...
I mean, dude.
So we have about 2 million pounds of yarn in stock.
Usually you see a warehouse like this, and this is all blanks, but this is not even the
No,
code.
our blanks are all in a different warehouse. This yarn inventory, we have different size yarns, different content. We have open end yarn, which is a little bit drier, some of our blanks, and we got ring spun yarns, which are softer. I'll show you the gray goods library, and then we'll go into the knitting. This is everything we've knit. We used to run a lot of stripe. As you go further, it dates back further, and you'll see more novelties and more.
So what you saw in the showroom, all those fabrics and stuff hung up, this is the entirety of everything that they have ever knitted in this factory, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. I mean,
it goes back. We got rows.
Cow.
We got rows back there. We're in the process of setting up another line because we have some on the floor now. But
oh, really? Oh, yeah. Here, this isn't even filled up. This is about to get filled up. My goodness. This is history. This is everything.
This is his, yeah, it goes back. And whatever we knit, this ensures that we duplicate the quality because spec sheets we keep, but you know, numbers are only so much. Once you physically check something and see it compared to what we put on the machine now that everything is set up right, looks right, feels right, you know, everything. This has helped ensure our quality stays where it is. And
you just have everything to reference, you know.
Everything.
If someone comes in with some crazy, bizarre request, you know, I'm sure it's in here. We've talked a lot about like your technology and how you guys have really like taken advancements in technology to ensure like efficiency and that sort of thing. Do you guys have to like backlog all of this and update it into your systems, or how would that work?
This is all, everything you see here, we got books by the style numbers with setup sheets on all this, so then they know where that cross references to where we can find it here. So
got it.
Everything has paper trails on it.
Yeah.
That's the most important part, so you can always ensure you're duplicating everything, because it's easy to make a sample, but it takes a lot more to make sure you duplicate that identical.
Have you ever had just like, I'm sure you have, but just a client come in and like come down this hall and pick out something that they want to make just from walking down this hall?
We had clients come here. Most of it, it's from the showroom, like what we have.
Yeah.
These are gray goods, so before we send it, after we knit this, we send it to dye house to finish it, and if it gets color, they'll dye it. So the hand and everything changes a little bit after finishing. So what we have in the showroom are finished good samples, so that's more indicative. That's exactly like what you'll get.
Yeah.
There's some that come reference it for a stripe setup or inspiration and different things. We had customers spend a day here looking through and just.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I would spend 2 days.
It's like Disneyland for designers. All right, let's see what we got running on the knitting machines right now.
How many knitting machines are in this area?
We have about 100 on the floor right now.
100.
100
of these bad boys.
Little under 100 actually. I don't have recent counts. So you saw all the yarn. The yarn goes on the creels.
Yeah.
Goes over to the machine. Comes down. What we're knitting here is a 3-end fleece right now. So our fleece fabric. And a 3-end fleece has 3 different yarns. There's a yarn in the face, the loop yarn where we brush, and one in the middle that holds the 2 sides together. So every roll we knit is 40 pounds. On a machine like this, we'll probably knit about 20 rolls a day. So we knit about 800 pounds on a 3-end fleece. On our jersey machines, that's much higher production, so we can knit up to 1,600 pounds a day on a jersey.
On one machine. So this one machine is producing like 800 pounds a day, and that's just one machine. There's like almost 100 machines in here, so we're looking at.
Yeah, so we have the biggest 3-end fleece capacity. We got about 40 machines on 3-end fleece. So we can crank out a lot of goods here. If you look, the machines have small needles, and based on the gauge of the machine, it depends how many needles are there. And this basically comes up, pulls the yarn, makes a loop. So think of it as grandma knitting, but much finer and much faster.
Yeah. I'm here with Marty and Sam, and we are in
Product development.
Product development. We are in the product development room. What is going on in here? What do you guys do? What's the operation looking like in here? It's a lot quieter.
It's a lot quieter. So a lot of the work that comes to this room actually is done beforehand, where we're actually coordinating with clients and kind of, you know, pulling in tech packs, getting samples, understanding what the fabric, what the fit is, what the wash process is. So there's actually a huge amount of labor that's done prior to anything actually moving to this room for us to really understand exactly what ingredients our customers want for us to create the finished product. The biggest thing here to see is definitely our Tech sample laser cutter. We were showing you the full-size high-ply cutter out on the floor. What's really interesting about this is we're using the same exact pattern software from start to finish. So So in development, we are transmitting that same data to this machine as we are to the cutters out on the floor. So you know that your samples that you're receiving are going to match production one-to-one. What this allows us to do though, as opposed to the old school method of, printing out a paper marker, laying it on top of the fabric, someone literally having to stop to cut notches, something that could take 10 minutes to cut one sample, this can do in about 15 seconds. Which you think about that turn time, it's insanity. Yeah. So a client can come to us, they'll give me a sample in the beginning of the day, I'll pass it to Marty. Marty will have the pattern made within 2 hours. We give samples to clients end of day. We turn samples that quickly in product development. Because what we can do here too is, if a client wants to see 3 iterations of a garment, it's very easiest for, say, something of sleeve length, right? You want to see it at 3 different lengths, that's fine. We'll do it here, so 3 samples, show it to you, and there it is. It can be done in the matter of hours. So this allows us to be so rapid. And like I said, you asked me the question, what's the craziest ask that we have? That's for that exact same client where they're like, hey, we have a tour, we're stocked out of this other garment, let me see what you can do. Can you match this ringer tee? We come here, we match the ringer tee within a day, ship it to them, and then the next day we're going to production on 20,000 units. But you have to be that fast to survive in this game, especially when working domestically.
This is the latest version of the laser cutter, and it is what it says. It cuts with the laser, so it's single ply cutting. Might get away from 2 plies of natural fiber, but you can't pair synthetics because they're going to melt together. And the older version of the laser cutter, there wasn't an index table, there wasn't a feeder, all the work was inside, so you had to hand place everything. It was a single head laser. This has a feeder on the back so that we can actually feed fabric through it, continuously cut, whether it's samples or, in some cases, folks are using this for sublimation, where they're doing sublimation printing on rolls, and they're actually printing patterns. It might be a soccer shirt or something from that perspective. In the center of it, there's a camera, so as long as there's a very bold, dark line around that pattern, it's going to recognize that, and it's going to cut that continuously. Wow. So you could have a 50-yard roll of fabric coming through, and it's constantly cutting just through recognition on the camera. And then you don't have to get inside of the machine, which this doffing table makes it. So we've cut primarily samples, but we've cut some production on this as well for some very small runs. Yeah. It's pretty handy for that.
I mean, this is the fastest way that I've ever seen that you could get a sample turned around, cut and sew, full custom cut and sewn sample. This is it. This is it.
Serious. When we finally got the machine, I was like, hell yeah.
We keep talking about the cutting office that's driving all this, so let's step in there.
We are basically in the brains of the operation. All those machines, all the technology, Tukatech, sample machine, the cutters, everything, all gets programmed and run from this room.
It's the driver for everything we do, from pattern making. Both Ronnie and Hector are high-level pattern makers, but they wear a lot of hats. Marker makers, also floor sweepers, whatever it is we all have to do, we do at this point. But as far as this room, if it's samples being designed, patterns being designed and sent to the laser cutter for sampling. That's what Ronnie and Hector do in here. They drive the ship.
There's a very important room that we're standing in right now. All right, that wraps up our tour of US Standard Apparel. Incredible state-of-the-art facility, just next level technology, massive operation going on here. Thank you so much, Sam, for taking us around and showing us.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, for sure.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Anytime, call us with anything.
Also, if you're looking for samples or production with US Standard Apparel, we can help you supply that at Money Merch, so just let us know and we'll get it done. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, let us know where we should tour next.